in more than 56 hours. Units of the Syrian Arab Army regained control of a number of villages in Hama and Latakia. Lavrov stresses that combating terrorism in the Middle East should be done collectively with the cooperation of the governments of Iran, Syria and Iraq. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our news for today. A new crime was perpetrated by the terrorists today when they targeted children as they were leaving schools in Akrima neighborhood in the city of Homs. According to initial reports, 18 people were killed today and more than 40 wounded, mostly children, in 2 blasts in the area. In further details, a source in Homs Governorate said the terrorists detonated a booby-trapped car in front of Akrima New School. Minutes later, a suicide bomber blew himself up in front of Akrima al-Makhzoumi school, causing many casualties among citizens. The source added that the Mazda car contained 3 bottles of gas trapped with 7 kilograms of the C4 highly explosive material.
هذا شاف واحد ارهابي طفل قبل يطلع ارهابي هذا قبل ضايع اولاد الدين ضايعين اولاد الدين ضايعين.
In cooperation with the popular defense group, the Syrian Arab Army has maintained control of Ain al-Jawzi and Al-Ruwaysat al-Ja'ura in Latakia northern suburbs, eliminating a number of terrorists, some of whom were non-Syrian. The Syrian Arab Army also targeted terrorist gatherings in 5 other villages, killing a large number of them and destroying the machine gun-provided vehicles. In Hama, northern countryside, Syrian Arab Army units have recaptured al-Masasina village southwest of Morek, eliminating a number of terrorists, wounding others and destroying their equipment. In Idlib suburbs, huge losses have been inflicted on armed men in 8 sites. In Homs countryside, several boats carrying terrorists were destroyed in Al-Rastan Lake, and a number of armed men were killed in other 4 positions. In Daraa countryside, Syrian Arab Army units have eliminated terrorists in 4 sites and killed and wounded many gunmen in Mashara and western Samadaniya in Al-Qunaitira countryside. Syrian Arab Army units continue to pursue terrorists in Jobar neighborhood in Damascus suburbs, realizing more progress and taking control of several buildings. Syrian Arab Army units also clashed with terrorists south and east of Tiba Mosque and in Dawar al-Manashir, killing and wounding many of them and destroying their criminal equipment. Welcome back. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has affirmed that combating terrorism in the Middle East should not continue unilaterally and should proceed through a collective effort joined by the governments of Syria, Iran and Iraq. Lavrov blamed the American policy in dealing with Middle Eastern and North African issues for what is happening in both areas at present. He said the situation in the Middle East may get out of control because it has gone out of the framework of international law. Lavrov added that Russia would continue to rely on UN Secretary Council's resolutions in dealing with various regional and international questions. In a new sign about the failure of military attacks led by the USA on ISIL terrorist group, senior American officials revealed that the Pentagon is suffering from intelligence gaps with regard to the airstrikes launched against ISIL in Syria and Iraq. The American statements came to doubt the fabricated claims about combating ISIL terrorism, relying on some regional countries who are still funding and supporting terrorism in Iraq and Syria. Head of the French National Front, Marine Le Pen, stressed that Qatar, Saudi Arabia and Turkey are still supporting the terrorists in Syria and Iraq, adding that the French government, which claims to be fighting the terrorist ISIL group, is also supporting terrorists in Syria. Le Pen called on Paris to choose its allies carefully and cut off its ties with Saudi Arabia and Qatar because both are involved in funding extremists in Syria and Iraq. Le Pen demanded the French government to explain its military involvement in the international fight against ISIL, especially that it is supporting terrorists in Syria and pretend to be fighting terrorism in Iraq. Le Pen warned against the return of the terrorists into France after they acquired brutal military skills. A new proof appeared about the involvement of Turkish President Erdogan with ISIL terrorist group, as the Turkish newspaper Aydınlık showed an increase in ISIL cells operating inside Turkey with the full knowledge of the Turkish government. The newspaper quoted Turkish sources as saying that ISIL terrorists have spread across the Turkish major cities, especially in Hama near Ankara, and they receive full protection from the Turkish government. News reports pointed out that the Turkish police have received instructions not to stop vehicles with special signs carrying terrorists because Erdogan has promised ISIL leaders to facilitate their movement after the release of the Turkish diplomats in Mosul. Many sources stressed that ISIL group has more than 700 offices in mosques across Turkey used as warehouses for stockpiling weapons and ammunition. In Sazar region along the Syrian-Turkish borders, thousands of residents southeast of Turkey continued their protests and denunciation of the support given by the Turkish government to terrorists in Syria, as these protests develop into clashes with the Turkish police. The protesters expressed full solidarity with the people of Syria across the borders. The demonstrators raised placards which denounced the Turkish government for its support of ISIL terrorist group in Syria. Finally, Iraqi troops have regained control of the area extending between Al-Toz province and Az-Zerka bridge, as well as 5 villages east of Tikrit, after eliminating a large number of ISIS terrorists. The Iraqi army continues to advance inside the borders of Al-Anbar governorate after clearing the northern area of Zira' as Iraqi troops have realized successive successes in several places. A number of tribes chiefs and prominent figures in the Ninawa governorate reiterated their support for the Iraqi armed troops against the terrorists. With this, we conclude our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Latest business at market news with Vani Genjan, but after the weather forecast. Stay tuned.